Hi everyone, I'm Todd Atlas with Sound Pure. We're here in the Sound Pure live room with Mike Dimming of Charter Acoustics, and we're here to dig deep into this SCL-1 compressor that's been blowing our minds for a few days. So first things first, let's get over into the control room and take a listen to this baby.
Okay, that sounds great.
So Mike and I are in the Sound Pure control room A, and we're going to be going over the SCL-1 in some detail. In particular, we're going to be hearing how the SCL-1 deals with the original content material and really how it retains a tremendous amount of the original detail, transparency, particularly the treble at the very, very stratospheric top, and the air is uninterrupted even as the compressor reaches into 5, 10, and even 20 decibel of gain reduction. I think one of the really impressive things that the unit can do can be demonstrated by a single acoustic guitar, and we'll show how amazingly the unit retains all of the resonance and detail in the instrument, while at the same time bringing up the overall levels.
We have the unit set now to do 6-to-1 compression with a dynamic threshold which is set low enough that the original track will trigger the processor. So if you want, you can play the original track and we can listen to what the unit is doing.
Now for the compressed track. In the second test, we're going to let Mike completely crush the acoustic guitar track in a way that probably musically we wouldn't ordinarily want to do. But
right.
It really demonstrates what the compressor is able to retain when it's, pushing a track in that kind of way.
Okay, so we're going to play the track. We're going to go to 20-to-1 compression. We're going to lower the threshold all the way as low as it goes. Fastest attack time possible, fastest release time possible. And what we'll see on the meter here is the minute the track plays, it will probably go to -20 of gain reduction and just sit there. So go ahead and play the track. That's a very good demonstration. That time we saw on the meter, gain reduction meter here on the compressor, that we were doing an average of -20, 20 dBs of gain reduction, and still no loss of treble, no collapse of stereo image, no pumping, no gasping, no distorting. So, the solo acoustic guitar is a very good demonstration for this device's best attributes. And if you noticed on the meter while we were playing that clip, the unit will only return to what it senses is the constantly changing average. And this is one of the reasons that the unit sounds so musical. It won't lurch back to 0 all the time, causing you to have to slow your release times down in order to stop that.
So what's really amazing about us being able to compress to this degree is I can bring that guitar track, that acoustic guitar track, up in the mix without losing all of its harmonic content. I can bring that acoustic guitar track to the foreground without having it sound smushed and losing all the information on top. And that doesn't matter if it's a vocal, a grand piano. We tried all sorts of things in terms of solo instruments here, and it's pretty dazzling, the detail retention that we've never really experienced before with any of our huge library of compressors that we have in the studio. So we've heard how amazing this thing works on individual instruments and the way it can retain all the harmonic interest, all the complexity of the instrument.
Right.
You know, the worst thing I ever feel like I'm in a position to have to do is compress something that's sort of acoustically complex, and wanting to retain that, but at the same time needing to boost it in the mix.
Piano and acoustic guitar are typically very difficult sources to use a compressor on, because you're trying to retain all the detail and dynamics that you heard in the original track, but yet you're trying to control some of that so that you can get the track to sit in the mix a little bit better. This thing does a fantastic job of that, because it doesn't take any of the top end away. It will reduce the dynamic range just to a point where it's just right, and you'll notice the track really sitting in the mix a lot better, and the track will sound like the beautiful original track that you recorded. You know, oftentimes we really compromise when we start to use compressors. We record a beautiful sounding track, and then in order to get the track to sit in the mix nicely, we have to kind of destroy that beautiful track a little bit to get it to work. And this box tries to address that problem and get around that, you know.
And it does it in an amazing way. I think that there's going to be a huge demand for these when people wrap their heads around the way that they work. So hats off to you.
Well,
let's get in the studio and do some more testing.
All right.